Okay, it's officially 5 p.m. We're gonna start. So guys, everyone, welcome to Let's Cook. And these are interactive online classes that we're doing. Hi there, I see someone on board. That we're doing pretty much, to get the community together because it's kind of crazy. Everyone, the whole world, it's so unusual that we would have something in common like this, but hey, we're all in place. We might as well cook together. And we're also trying to raise funds for Feeding America. So afterwards I'll be sending you emails. If you are in a position to do so, it would be great to, if you can donate, but it's totally optional. And let's see, today we are going to do a lot of things actually, and the theme is basics and accessories. So one of the things that I like talking about with regards to cooking is especially when you want to integrate cooking in your lifestyle, is you want to be able to work with leftovers. And a lot of people just get tired of leftovers and they just like toss it, which is such a sad thing because we don't need any more food waste in the world. So it's basically how to accessorize our leftovers and dishes so that we can kind of glam it up. So I like to think of it as a wardrobe, like a little black dress. It's just a simple black dress, but with the right accessories, you can just make it shine. So today we are gonna do, let's see, I have my cheat sheet. I'm gonna be steaming broccoli in class. We are gonna roast a few root vegetables. I'm gonna show you the vegetables. And the 4 things we're gonna use for accessories, we're gonna do a sage brown butter sauce, caramelized onions. We're gonna make a kale pesto. And I already have some, I wrote this in the menu thing to have some nuts pre-toasted. So let me show you what the ingredients I have here, okay? So I just want you to see, here's a bunch of root vegetables we're gonna use. This is all real time, so I'm gonna be, we're gonna be prepping this in class. By the way, can I just ask, is anyone cooking with me today? Who's cooking? Anyone?
I'm cooking, but I don't have the same ingredients, so I'm gonna have to fudge.
No problem. Tell me what ingredients you have.
I have sweet potato, onion, potatoes, asparagus, broccoli. I couldn't get kale, so I got a spring mix.
Okay.
And
I'll talk about substitution. So for everything. So for roasting, we can roast pretty much anything. I'm just deciding to do some root vegetables today. And so Eve, we'll talk about which ones you're gonna roast. For the pesto, I am doing kale. This is actually my favorite kind of pesto. I will talk about this later when we are roasting and caramelizing because this is pretty fast, okay? I have a bunch of nuts here. Actually, that's just the nuts that I'm gonna use today. So I have peanuts, these are toasted walnuts and pecans, but I'm going to show you my little stash because we love nuts. So this cabinet is, I don't know if there's a reflection. This cabinet is chock full of nuts. And this is this is one cabinet. I have another cabinet of other nuts, but these are the ones we eat every day. So yeah, we like nuts. Butter and sage leaves. So I have had this for a few weeks. These are leftovers, very sad looking rotisserie chicken. It was beautiful when it was newly rotisseried, and after several days, not so beautiful. So we'll work with that. Also beans and some rice. And I just remembered that I have, I'm gonna get it, but I blanched asparagus, which is kind of long in the tooth. So these are asparagus that I had, I blanched this already. This is like a week old and it's getting a bit funky, but it's still okay. So we're gonna incorporate that later with one of the dishes. Okay, so we'll start off first thing is going to be, we are going to be roasting vegetables. Now, I think you all must be familiar with sweet potatoes and carrots. I have lots of like colored carrots here, but maybe this one, do you guys know what this is? It's a new favorite. This is Jerusalem artichoke, and also called sunchokes, also called in Britain fartichokes, but this is one of my new discoveries. I only discovered this from a friend last year, and this is pretty amazing in terms of taste. This is actually related to the sunflower. It's a kind of perennial sunflower, so it's not at all related to artichokes. It just so happens to taste a bit like it. But the starch of this is inulin, which is a prebiotic, so very, very healthy. So we're gonna work with this. Now, when you are working with sliced vegetables, everything can roast, but the bigger it is, the longer it will take. So we are going to get the sweet potatoes pretty much the same size as the Jerusalem artichoke, so that they will bake evenly, because these are all pretty hefty vegetables. So if you were using something like mushrooms or leeks, if you are working with hefty vegetables, it's fine that they're all the same size so they cook evenly. Obviously, it will all roast. Even if it's this big, it'll just take longer. But because this class, we try to keep it under an hour and a half, we're going to make them smaller. Eve, you said you are going to be roasting. Tell me what vegetables you have in mind, because what we're going to do with these vegetables, we're going to roast it into, actually we'll make it all pretty much similar to the size of a Jerusalem artichoke.
I'm going to do sweet potato and carrots.
Okay, that's fairly similar. So let's go ahead and slice that. This one, these are all organic, and I don't peel carrots and even Jerusalem artichokes. Sometimes I just remove. There are some weird bits like this one. I'll just remove that. But if you can get organic, don't peel, because the nutrients are mostly on the skin. And the reason why I would peel a vegetable is because if there are pesticides or any residual chemicals, I don't want that in my food. So I'd rather just peel that. Okay, so this one, so I would actually slice this down, and that's gonna really bake fast. So maybe I'll do a lot of those. Let's put them in a bowl. I'm just gonna quickly go through this because a lot of you are not baking. So I will just do this. And feel free to talk to me while I'm doing this, and tell me what's up in your area. So like Belgium, how crazy is it in Belgium?
Hey, Marlene, we're cooking as well. We have butternut squash, so I was just gonna bake it at a little bit of a lower temperature.
Actually, butternut squash is pretty much the same consistency as carrots.
Okay.
They're hefty, so let's all go 425.
425. Okay.
Yeah, believe me, that'll just make it faster. But if you did the other kind of squash, the summer squash, those are really fast. So that's why, very different. It all has to do with, you can sort of feel how hefty they are. Just for, I think, because I really want to get these Jerusalem artichokes for sure cooked, I may just split it in two. Why not? So put all of these in a bowl, because we're gonna oil this. By the way, I washed my hands before starting, so I hope on your end that you guys did too. And that's one of the interesting things about the COVID, because it used to be that people had to be reminded about washing hands, and now it seems like everyone knows what to do, which is good, because obviously COVID is not the only thing that gets spread. There's all sorts of pathogens, especially with raw meats that come in. It's a funny shape. All right, and then more on Jerusalem artichoke. So one of the things I learned about this is that this is actually native to North America. The Indians used to eat this, and an Italian, no, actually a French guy brought it to Europe, where it became really popular because it's easy to grow. And somehow the Italians called it girasole artichoke. Girasole means sunflower. And because it's a sunflower, this is actually a perennial sunflower, and I'm actually growing it right now. I have 7 plants. You can actually buy one in the grocery and just plant it. That's how easy it is. So yeah, somehow they misunderstood girasole, and it sounded like Jerusalem. And that's how it became Jerusalem artichokes. So it has nothing to do with Jerusalem, nothing to do with artichokes. It's a sunflower. Okay, so pretty much getting that trim. After this, we are gonna oil it and then lay it on our baking sheet. So I hope you have your baking sheets. I will show you. I lined my baking sheet with silicone mats just because it's really easy to clean up after. But obviously, you don't need to do that. You can use aluminum foil or parchment paper, or even not use it, but good luck with the cleanup, because sugars, when they bake, oh my God, it's crazy. Okay, let's see. I think I want to make this a bit smaller. Again, this one, it doesn't matter. It could be, it's only because of the class and the time constraints that I'm making it smaller. Normally, I would actually bake these guys whole or split in 2, and then just take a longer time. But I think that's pretty much, show you. Okay, so pretty much sort of similar size, right? So let's see. Let's make sure. Yep, I am gonna pour olive oil on this just because it's easier than if you put it in the tray and then did it there. It's better to put it in the bowl because they all have weird sizes and edges. And I'm gonna salt it. You see, I'm salting. If you want to put herbs, rosemary, thyme, etc., you can. I'm keeping it plain just because I'm gonna use sauces on it. So, okay. And then after this, you're gonna massage it just to get the oil in the nooks and crannies. See, it's kind of nice. I'm using extra virgin olive oil for this because it has a good flavor for roasting. I think it's perfect. And as I said, if you wanted to put herbs or spices, you can. You can do it at this point, you can do it after, but because of the sauces, I'm keeping that plain. All right, that's fine. We'll spread it out in the trays. What's important is it's in an even layer. You don't want them on top of each other because anything that's on top, like this, if it's just there, that's gonna bake, but this won't. So you want to keep it pretty much in one layer. Looks like they'll all fit in. I actually have 2 trays prepared, but looks like they'll all fit in one. So something like this, it's smaller than the others. That could potentially be roasted a lot faster than the others, but you know, it's what it is, and it's easy to fish out. So we're gonna check on this in a bit. You know what? I'm wondering if I should just make this smaller. Well, all right. And then you don't want it too close together because as with cooking, baking, roasting, etc., when you have, you know what? I won't take a chance. I'll do a second pan. Because when they're too close together, they steam. So there's a different process that happens, and you don't get the effect of the roasting. So I'm actually putting some of these in the second pan. I have it already prepared. Why not? Yeah, just to make sure. Oh, that's a little bit big. But all right. Maybe more here. Okay. And I know it's still preheating. My oven isn't ready, but there's no reason why you can't just put it in and just go for it. Why not? And again, also to kick it up a notch, I'll just put it on convection too. I'm gonna wash my hands.
Marlene, my carrots and sweet potato are smaller than your chunks. Will mine cook quicker?
Yes.
All right.
Anything. So the basically, wait, where's my? I'm looking for. So rule of thumb. The more surface area and the smaller it is, the faster it will cook. So if you are unfamiliar with sizes and temperatures of your oven, etc., it's always a great rule of thumb to keep checking. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to ask Alexa to remind in 10 minutes to look, because of course so many things are happening. I need help, so I will ask her to do that. And the other thing is, so even if your oven isn't, this is not always the case, but for roasting, even if it's not yet at the 425 degrees that we're asking, which is ideal, it's okay to just put it in, even if it's still, you know, if it's cooler than that, because it's all heating up anyway. Okay, so I'm gonna put this. I have 2 trays. I'm putting in the oven, and I am going to put convection. If you have convection, I will talk about that in a sec. Okay, I just put it in. Alexa, set a reminder for 10 minutes.
What's the reminder for?
Oh, actually wrong. Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes.
Okay, I'll remind you in 10 minutes.
So the 10 minutes is just to check, okay? I'm thinking that would take maybe closer to 20 minutes to finish at that size. We'll see. The other thing is, I don't know I was gonna say something. Oh yeah, convection. So, which I will turn on. Convection is a way of air circulating. Basically, when you have a convection function, it's very useful if you are cooking several layers of food. If you have only one, then pretty much the heat is on that tray. But if you have more than one tray, one of them is going to be blocked. So you want that circulation, the air circulation. So we try to use it when we can. And the sort of rule of thumb, and you have to kind of work with this depending on your oven, is if you are thinking for whatever the temperature is, let's say 425 is the ideal. If you're using convection, lower it to maybe 380, something like that, okay? But since I am not yet at the full 425, I'm just leaving it on. But once I hear that click, I will probably lower it to about, maybe not even 380, I'll lower it to 400 because we're trying to roast quickly. Okay, is everyone, anyone who's roasting, is it all in the oven at this point?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, second, we are gonna make our caramelized onions. All we need is an onion and a skillet, okay? For the onions, all we wanna do is slice them in rings. And this is a big onion, so actually, I am gonna split this first. Anytime you're working with something unstable, like an onion, and you have a knife, you basically want to have a flat surface somewhere. So how we're gonna do this, I'm gonna cut the poles first, then I'm going to peel it, split it down the middle, and then cut it into rings. Okay, so I am going to put the camera back to, so this is just a general rule of thumb for working with knives. Okay, I am a pianist. I'm a jazz musician actually, so I am hyper careful about my hands and sharp objects. So just a little bit of basic knife technique. Use the knuckles to guard. You don't want fingers splayed this way and boom, ouch. So that way, get it down. And the skin of the onion is slippery, so you want to make sure, because we're trying to create stability, that you are careful about that. Now that we have at least a flat base, split it down the middle, remove the icky parts like this. See, a little bit. I buy like a bunch in a sack of onions, so sometimes some of them are not the best, but it's still doable. Okay, that's all she wrote. And then in rings. Anyone doing caramelized onions? No one? So this is actually one of my favorite. Oh, who is that? Is that Eve?
Eve.
Okay, this is actually one of my favorite accessories. Once, maybe every 2 months, I do a big batch, like maybe 6, 7 big onions, and I cook it down a really long time, like about 2 hours. You see what I mean by it's slippery? Well, yeah, because there's a film there. So, and I freeze it. They freeze really well. I put them in little containers and use it on all sorts of things. I can tell you in a minute what I use it for. Now, this is done. We are just gonna turn on the heat on the skillet. So, da-da-da, look at that. Now we have my overhead camera. You guys see this? Ooh. And I'm gonna use olive oil for this, just enough to coat.
How hot? Put it on medium?
Yeah, this is gonna be medium and then later on low. But every time I start with a cold pan, I will start with high, just because the pan is still cold. But then I will gradually lower that, especially because onions can burn, and we don't want that. We just want to brown. And then I will talk about this. Okay, there we go. Just enough to coat. You don't need to wait for it to be hot. You can just put your onions in, and then we will talk about this. So after you put this in, just sprinkle it with some salt, which will draw out the moisture. Just helps it cook faster. I'm gonna wash my hands again. All right, so while that's heating up, let me just stop. I'm lowering it now because I can hear that it's sizzling and it means it's getting hot. So caramelized onions. Caramelization is the process of bringing out the sugars through heat with what's called the Maillard effect. It's basically, when you heat something, the Maillard effect basically describes it's hundreds of chemical reactions that happen, which produces, for example, the browning of meat. And in terms of caramelized onions, it draws out the moisture. It makes it sweeter and nuttier, and totally different from what raw onion tastes like. So as soon as it browns, that's already considered caramelized onions. However, you have degrees of caramelization. We're not going to caramelize this for 2 hours today. We're just going to maybe do it for half an hour. But as I said, because it depends on the need. Like when I do the beautiful pizza, I will be caramelizing the onions about like half an hour, 20 minutes, half an hour. Sometimes if I'm really lazy, I'll do 20 minutes. But what I was mentioning earlier was that every other month I do this huge batch, and I really cook it down, because when it's really cooked down, almost 2 hours worth, it becomes this jammy consistency. It's very sweet. It's almost dessert-like. It's pretty amazing. You can imagine putting that on anything. You put it on your steak with blue cheese. You put it on, I do this eggs and cocotte, and that with the mushrooms. It's just pretty amazing. So it's one of those accessories that we use all the time. So, and as I said, it freezes really well, as long as you put them in small containers so you don't like defrost this huge batch when you need it. It works. Okay, so that's happening. Okay, that'll take us some time. I will talk about the broccoli, which I just realized is still in the fridge. Hold on, I'll get the broccoli. Most vegetables lose the what they call phytonutrients, which are what makes it healthy. Like in the example of carrots, you have carotenoids. That's what makes it orange. And so whatever goodness you have in most vegetables, you lose it when you cook it, because heat basically destroys all these amazing things. There are exceptions to that rule. So one exception, for example, is tomatoes. Tomatoes actually are healthier when you cook them. So tomato paste is actually one of the most healthy versions of tomatoes, because it's really cooked down. And lycopene, which is a kind of carotenoid that makes it orange, which is, it helps against cancer. That is actually really activated when you heat it, okay? But most vegetables, it's the opposite. The longer you cook it, the more you remove it. And so broccoli, that's Alexa. Alexa, stop. Okay, she's reminding me to check the roasted stuff, and I will. But let me just continue. So broccoli, one of the healthiest ways to prepare this is to steam it. Now, this is super easy. We are gonna do this actually towards the end, because it just takes 7 minutes. So what you want, so just prepare, if you're gonna be steaming broccoli with me, I have a little pot here, as long as it fits, it fits the broccoli, and we'll talk about how to size that. I have a little, let's see, you see a little sort of, it's not a strainer, but it's something so that the broccoli won't be submerged in the water. If you have a steamer basket or any sort of thing that will keep it from being submerged, that would be perfect. And I only have enough water, about maybe this much, okay, because we are not boiling it, we are not braising it, we are steaming. So we just need enough that it's not going to evaporate and burn the pan for 7 minutes. You just need 7 minutes worth of water, that's all. And we will do this later on, because the process for this is you just have to boil it. As soon as it's boiled, we dump the broccoli in, set a timer, done. That's how easy it is. In fact, that's one of the usual ways we do it in the house, because it's so easy to dress it up after. Okay, so just have it prepared. And in terms of sizes, the same rule applies. I tend to like keeping it whole, the broccoli. Like there are certain times that I like when I'm stir frying, I'm gonna cut this into florets. But for steaming, I'd rather like keeping it this large. So pretty much that's gonna be ready to go later. This one, yep, pretty much that's okay. All right, now just check on your onions. Make sure you stir it every so often as it browns, because whatever's on the bottom, obviously what hits the pan is the one that gets brown sooner. Okay, Alexa reminded me to check the oven stuff, so we will. All right, nowhere near. That's fine. Ooh, carrots might be. Alexa, set a timer for 10 minutes.
10 minutes, starting now.
Okay, cool. Next thing we're gonna do, because all of these things are happening, boom, 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 and then there'll be a lot of time to talk while we're waiting. So the next one is sage brown butter sauce. Okay, how many of you guys have made a brown butter sauce? Speak up, I wanna know, I'm curious. No one? Really?
No.
Nope,
But
not
you,
brown butter.
wait, you have had it or you made it?
I have not. No.
No? Okay. Well, if you haven't had this yet, you're in for a real treat. Okay, it's one of those things that you brown butter basically is you cook the butter enough so that the fat, the solids, get cooked and become brown. That's why it's called brown butter. But again, we were talking about the Maillard process. What that does is it makes the butter very sweet and nutty. That's the descriptors that I can use for it. Now, you can just do brown butter alone.
Marlene, I have a question.
Yes.
Can you use ghee?
You know, honestly, I don't know. I have never worked with ghee. Have you ever heard of a brown ghee? Because I don't know.
No.
Yeah, sorry, I can't speak to that. That would be interesting. If you actually do brown ghee and it works, can you let me know? Because I'm curious.
Doing it. This is
Yeah.
Anna. I joined late and I'm going to be browning ghee, so I'll let you know.
Is that is that Anna? No, that's not Santa. Is that Anna?
Yep, it's Anna.
Oh, Anna, you're the okay. You're
I-
gonna be brown. Yeah, because why I'm a little bit skeptical is because ghee is clarified butter, and I'm almost sure that they removed the fat solids of ghee. That's why I'm not sure, but you can prove. You know, this is just me thinking out loud. So let me know. Let me know if it works.
Yeah.
But it's the fat that you want. Okay, so this butter burns really quickly, but it takes a long time to get brown. So it's one of those things that you're going to be tempted because you're waiting. You're going to be tempted to do other things. Try to resist because when it gets there, it's so fast and it'll burn. And then that's that. And it's really annoying. So we'll estimate that this will take about maybe 10 minutes. Okay, I'm using a whole stick. This is one of those things too that you can freeze. Put it in the. I have actually a few containers of this. Fridge or freeze. You know, it keeps well. And the sage that's fried from this, you can use as garnish. You can eat it. It's really yummy. So let's see. I'm just gonna put this. I'm using a small skillet like this, and I am going to turn the heat on to medium, but this is gonna be lower when the butter is melted. Okay, so let's start things.
Put it on low.
Right now, a little bit higher, like medium, but then
Medium,
as soon as the butter is melted, that's gonna go low. We just want to, because it's a whole stick, I didn't cut it. Of course, if you cut it into small pieces, same rules apply. It will melt lots faster, but yeah, we can wait for that. Okay, and it's the sage. You might as well take the time to. You can do this later, but you know we're shooting the breeze. So 1, 2, 3, 4. How many do I have? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I really like the sage. 10, 11, 12. You know, I'll get more because I do like this.
Marlene,
Yes.
would you typically use a brown butter sauce with more in the seafood family or in the meat family?
Oh, what a good question. I would use it for everything. I'll tell you the most common things. So today, what we're gonna do. Let me talk about what we're gonna do today. This 4 sauces and all the leftovers and all the basic stuff that I showed you. I'm gonna make 4 dishes out of it. I have my cheat sheet. We're gonna make a chicken with a caramelized onions, blue cheese, and walnuts. We're gonna, the sad leftovers that we have of the the former rotisserie chicken and the beans, the asparagus, and okay, just so you see this, I don't know why we do this sometimes. There's hardly any rice. It's like, so we're just gonna put that all together in one melange, and that is gonna go with the pesto. And then the broccoli, the sage butter is gonna go on that. And roasted veggies, we'll see. We can, basically the sauces can go in anything. So to answer to your question, well, yeah, I've had sage brown butter on fish, which was amazing. And in fact, we pair that with fish usually with, I think my favorite combination is with squash because it's fall, you know, it has that flavor. So squash with butternut squash with a sage brown butter sauce, topped with, optional, toasted pecans. Very good. Okay, we're gonna look at the butter, and I'm gonna put these guys in because it's melting. I'm gonna put more sage. I got more from the fridge because I actually really like these guys. And once in a while, do this, you know, just so that the solid part actually gets to move and melt more rather than it's just stuck there and then the bottom could burn. So it's good to give it a little shake. So it's sort of, yeah, it's on low, maybe a little bit higher than what I have. So we just have to keep our eye on that, okay? So make sure if you're doing this, just watch it. Now, the other thing is you need a tempered bowl. A tempered bowl is basically something that takes heat and it's not gonna crack, because when the butter is brown, that means it's ready to go. We have to immediately remove it from the pan. You can't, even if you turn off the heat, if you leave it on the burner or on the stove top, it's still gonna be cooking. So you have to remove that from the heat right away. So make sure you have a tempered bowl that's on the ready. Jeff, you want to say hello? Oh, you meet my husband. He's usually my partner in the real cooking classes that we do. We host. After COVID, I hope we can do it again. But this is Jeff.
Hey guys.
Hi.
Hey everybody.
There's the cameras here actually.
Awesome.
And
Boy, it's smelling good in here already. I can't wait for the meal.
yeah, basically this is dinner. So
Looking forward to it.
so usually, you know, we host cooking class parties, and it's this elegant, you know, dinner. A few. Anna and Eve have been to our cooking classes because they're local, Massachusetts. And, you know, we have 3-4 course dinners paired with wine because Jeff's a wine consultant.
I'll be coming to the next one.
Make sure you're local.
I am coming to the next one. The first one right after this mess is over, I'm coming.
We are all waiting. We are all
Can't wait.
waiting. Okay, don't forget to stir your onions. Okay, because these guys can burn. And I don't think Alexa reminded me, but I'm going to look just to take a peek. And how do you know that it's cooked? We are gonna do the fork test. So when you have stuff like this, see, it goes through, but I kind of like it even softer, so I'm gonna leave it in. But they're already, that's the big one. So obviously the small ones like the carrots, they're already, do you see that? It's like, boom, you can just like go through, see? So you have an idea. Oh, it's getting hot. I'll give it a few more minutes. I'll check the other tray. Okay, this tray is actually done. So I'm removing that, and I will just give maybe 5 more minutes for the other tray. Alexa, set the timer for 5 minutes.
Second timer, 5 minutes.
All right.
Down.
How's your roasting, guys? I mean, have you checked? Alexa, stop. So these guys are done. Okay, so I took out that tray, and the other tray is just few more minutes and it should be okay. All right, so while that's all cooking, we have kale pesto. So you are gonna need a food processor. I have a small one like this because I just want to make a little bit. And what we're gonna put in it, okay, we'll talk about pesto. Okay, so my ingredients are kale, garlic, I'm gonna do lime, and peanuts. So pesto is originally from Genoa in Italy, and I had friends from the Italian side of Switzerland, very close to Genoa, and they actually taught me how pesto is made. It's basically basil, nuts. The nuts are a combination of pine nuts and walnuts, or it could be just pine nuts. Olive oil as the medium, as the fat. Parmesan cheese. Oh, I forgot to mention Parmesan cheese. Wait. Parmesan cheese. Garlic is optional, but I do like my garlic, so I put that. So in essence, that's what a pesto is. So if you wanted to substitute and make a kale pesto, in this case, we have the vegetable, we have nuts. Instead of the pine nuts, walnuts, I'm using peanuts, and this happens to be, it's already roasted and salty. So anytime you're using something that's already salted, you just want to keep that in mind when you add salt, which is why it's very important to taste. So let's see, we have the nuts, we have that, we're going to use olive oil, we're going to use Parmesan cheese. What is different is I'm adding lime. So not necessary, but I rather like the brightness of this. And the other thing that this will do is it will help keep, so citrus basically will help keep something green. So that's just one of the little tricks. Like, let's say you were making a smoothie, you put a little bit of lemon or even citric acid or vitamin C. Those things will help keep it green rather than looking so oxidized and brown. So what we're gonna do with a kale, we are just gonna strip the leaves from the stalks. I don't throw my stalks because I use them in either stocks or I cook it because I still have a bunch of kale that I'm going to be cooking at some point, and I'll be using the stalks. Meanwhile, I'm looking at my things and it's fine. So we're going to strip this and I'm going to show you how. We're also going to peel the garlic. So I will change cameras. And don't forget, while we're doing all this, if you are making the butter sauce and the onions, you just keep checking. You don't know how quick that will go. Okay, garlic. For this amount of kale, I am only going to use, I'm eyeballing it. This is raw. We're not cooking this at all. So pestos are not cooked. So I think, too, you can imagine, garlic that is raw is a lot more pungent than when it's cooked. So I think 2 is sufficient. I'm gonna use my trusty pestle and mortar. And this one, I'm just using the pestle and mortar to basically remove the skin because we're pureeing all of this anyway, so. And I'm removing also that little, you don't really have to, but it's one of those things that I sort of like removing. Aha! I think it's time to turn off the oven. Alexa, stop. Okay. My roasted vegetables should all be done, so let's get that out. Ta-da! Nice and brown. Okay, wow, I'm smelling these guys all. Let's put that aside. Okay. Yes, the garlic. Okay, garlic can just go straight into the processor. Now let's strip the kale. How to strip kale? Actually, this is really fun to do because what you do is you start here and just go, see, just like strips down. And the reason we're stripping it down is because the stalks are really fibrous, so it will affect the texture. The stalks are okay when you cook it down and it breaks the fiber, but we're doing this raw, so I'd rather dispense with it. See, so just like that. This will go in my compost pile for now. And then we just want to help our processor out a bit and just chop this into, actually might be more than I need. I might actually use less than that. Depends how it looks in the processor. Okay, so I'm gonna put that here. Put a little at a time.
Cilantro instead of kale, is it?
Yes, totally. Cilantro, parsley, any of those. Yep, that'll work. Salad
The
greens,
same.
not so much, maybe because salad greens don't have a very distinctive flavor, but
Cilantro?
I've never worked with it, so we should try it because everything is worth experimenting, and then you'll figure out whether you like it or not. Okay, meanwhile, not yet done. Let's see. How are your onions coming along?
The butter I don't want to touch.
Are the onions?
Ours are done. We had
Can you
Mine are
show?
mine are a little brown.
Can I see how brown? Is that Eve who's talking? Wait, I'm gonna remove my video. Okay, go ahead and talk again and show me because it will show you. We're all gonna see you if you talk. If I just remove the spotlight. Let's see.
Does it have a flip button?
Are you using a phone?
There.
Oh, I see it. Yeah, so you could use it anywhere from there, or you can push it further and brown it. The browner it is, the sweeter it will be. So I'm pushing mine. I'll just keep cooking mine until the end, until we actually need it. Excellent. Okay, so you could use that. I will go back to, okay, so let's see. Sage butter, still cooking. Okay, now because we're not working with recipes, actually I will spotlight this. Since we're not working with recipes, we want to always taste to make sure we like it. We go by texture, by taste. I'm just checking on my onions. Oh, let me show you something. Okay, this is interesting because this might happen to you, and it's fine. So, can you guys see that there are these brown bits here?
Mm-hmm.
Called fond. That's the French word for fond. That's the French word, fond. And that's actually your flavor. And when you see that, you wanna access that. So how to do that is you deglaze. You put a little bit of water. Let me just check this out. So when you use water, you get that out, or any liquid actually, but in this case, just a little bit to get the flavor because you want that. That's like gold, baby. Let's, yeah. And immediately, you see how it becomes browner? Because it takes the color of the fond, which is your flavors. Okay, so that's cooking.
Like your shoes.
Hmm?
Like your shoes.
You see my Crocs? I used to laugh at these. I used to hate, I was a late bloomer with Crocs. I hated Crocs because I thought they looked stupid. But man, when I tried it, it was like, oh, it's my house shoes. It's also, I have gardening shoes that are also Crocs because they're just super, super comfortable. Plus, if a knife happens to fall, your toes are protected. it will fall, but just to make sure. Okay, I'm also looking at our safe brown butter because I'm worried it's getting brown, but I'm pushing it. I'm just gonna show you also. So I'm interrupting the kale to just show you. Okay, it is getting brown. At this point, you could actually already use that, but I tried to push it even more brown, which means this is gonna be fast. Okay, so meanwhile, oh, onions are looking nice. I'm gonna add again more water. All right, I think actually the brown butter, I'm gonna stop it and I'm gonna show you what that looks like. Let me show you up close. Can you see how brown it is? You see how the little solid parts are brown flecks? That's the butter fat. And so I'm gonna pour it now. And my tempered thingy. Let me just go back to. All right. And I want to show you what this looks like. So, actually, I'll go back to the overhead. But because you'll really see how brown this is. You see how this is a white bowl, so you can see how dark, how brown this butter became, and that is beautiful. And if you wanted to freeze this, you can just put it in a little ramekin with maybe, well, you can freeze it in the ramekin or put a parchment, line it with a parchment paper and freeze it so that you can have little packs of it. So very good. And if you did this, try your sage, because that sage, actually, I will fish one out. It's hot, hot, hot. Okay, and I mean, this is the reward. It's crunchy. So I first discovered this in a restaurant. They used it as a like garnish for a really high-end burger, and it had like fried sage leaves on the side. It was so fancy, but oh my God, it was so good. And the thing is, it's so easy to make. Okay, so that's happening. I'm really just keeping my eyes going. But let's work now on the kale pesto. So I'm going back to this view. So since we're not working with a recipe, we're gonna work with the ingredients little by little. So you need a lot of olive oil, and I'm gonna start pouring some. So this is all by taste. I'm gonna also dump some peanuts. And this one, you know, if you really like peanuts, if you like a nuttier kind of a pesto or a more liquefied kind of a pesto, all of those things are factors that you can change. You know, they're all up to you. And the acidity, I want my lime. I'm not going to put the whole lime. I'm going to put just maybe half for now, and it's easy. It's very easy to adjust by adding more, not as easy to reduce. So rule of thumb, go little by little rather than full blown. Even when you're, yes?
I'm sorry. So with just a quick question on the butter, would you leave the sage in there if you were to freeze it, or do you have to remove it?
Oh, I tend to remove it because it's not,
okay.
Then I eat it because it's not, it won't be crisp anymore if you froze it.
Otherwise, you could take that sage and serve it on something like a meat or perhaps a fish.
Oh, totally. No, seriously, that's how I first discovered it. I had it in a restaurant, and it was with the burgers. It was served with this high-end burger, and it was one of the side garnishes, and it was awesome.
Okay, great. Thanks.
Yeah. You have to experiment this. You'll see how good it is. So let's see. I'll put some cayenne, just because I already know I like cayenne. Optional, of course, because I like spice. I like heat. Let's see. I put the garlic in. Okay, and then we'll process it, and then we'll see. Because oh wait, I know what I forgot: the cheese. So let's put some grated cheese in. So the cheese, I buy blocks of cheese, and I just grate this in a blender. Makes it easier. So as I said, everything is adjustable. If you really wanted to just make it super cheesy, then you add more. Let's see. So this is my, all right, I am realizing this view is not optimal. I want for sure if I put it here. Okay, there we go. So I'm using this puree and pulse first. Okay, that gives you an idea. So something like that definitely needs liquid. So I am going to add a lot more olive oil, and I just made room so I can add more kale too.
How much lime did you put?
Oh, for now I just put half, but as I said, you start with a little, and it's easy to adjust by adding. It's hard when you put too many things, and then you can't subtract. Easy to add, not to subtract.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, but we might use up the whole lime. I'm not sure. We will find out. And I already know I want this. Also, I kind of like chunky pestos. So I will not over puree it, but that's a matter of taste. Okay. So still needs oil, and then I'm going to taste it, and then we can just start adjusting. And I just use salt and pepper basically. Meanwhile, I will turn off my onions. I think my onions are ready to go. So let's get this. And get a teaspoon to try. So I haven't added salt yet, which we definitely will. I just wanted to check. I'm just testing. Okay, definitely needs cheese. I'm just gonna put all of this, and I'm gonna salt it too, and pepper. Why not? It's all good. And guys, if you haven't tried kale, pesto, you have to. It's good. It's really yummy. Plus, it's a really nice way to get a green that is really healthy. Okay, I'm using a different teaspoon for this. All right, always taste. Needs more salt, lime. Okay, how are you guys doing? Have you tasted it yet to see?
I didn't have any kale, so I didn't make it.
Okay, that's fine, that's fine. For those who are making it, by the way, I'm adding a little bit more lime because I want it a little bit more tart. So let's see.
We're using cilantro and lime, and it tastes really good.
I bet. Feel out of it, right?
And I'm using kale and then pecan, and it's really good.
Oh, there you go. This is
Marlene, would you add parsley?
I also like parsley. I actually, I haven't made particularly a pesto out of parsley, but I make a chimichurri, which does use parsley. So yeah, I would use anything that has a really strong flavor. They're good because the flavor profile will come out. So that's my pesto. I'm happy with it. This, as you can imagine, can go pretty much on anything. So that's the next step. We are now going to make the dishes. I'm just going to put away some of these things, make room. And let's see what we can create. All right, let's see. This is out. Get the blender. You know, I love hand blenders. I travel with this, and on our my husband and I, Jeff and I, got married in Maui, and I brought one and I left it there. That was my first one, which was so sad. But this is my next one. I tell you, can't live without it. Okay, so we might as well do the broccoli. So at this point, turn on the water. Turn on, if you're steaming, that'll probably take maybe 4 minutes to reach the boiling, and then let's assemble stuff. So what did I say? So as I said, you can really mix and match stuff, but this sad looking chicken, we'll start off with this, and I think I'll get some blue cheese. Actually, change of plans. Turns out I don't think we have blue cheese, but I have feta. And it's okay. Blue cheese is really nice with I feel like the marriage of blue cheese and toasted walnuts is really good, but other cheeses will work too. So let's see. What do we do with sad looking chicken? Well, first of all, we try to make it look a little bit better. So yeah, when you have something that looks kind of like unappetizing like that, you basically want to disguise it. And sauces are one way to do it. So the easiest thing to do actually is slather this with pesto. So it changes your flavor profile, it covers it up and makes it really yummy. But because I want to work with different things, we will see how we present this with caramelized onions and the cheese, the feta. Okay, so first of all, I want to heat that up because that looks really sad. So let's get a container, put that, and oh, maybe we'll use this one. Okay. All right, so let's heat that up first. Wash my hands again. Two minutes in the microwave while I can do it. Now, when you're working with leftovers, don't have any sauce, and
You're frozen. Is it because it's past 6 o'clock you're frozen?
case. It's just the internet.
It might be the internet because yeah, she's
Yeah, it might be-
frozen for me
might be the
too.
net.
But I know my
Her other,
internet's been in and out.
her other
She's-
camera. Her other
She's
camera's
frozen
working,
for
though.
me.
Yeah, her other camera's working. She'll come back, I would imagine.
Wonder if she can hear us.
She looks like she jumped off, so she hopefully will log back in. I'm sure she'll come back. See her cameras. I see her other camera working.
The chat said she's not in the meeting.
Okay.
Oh, here she is.
I see a camera over here on my screen. I see her pans.
Oh.
I have the presenter view up. Gallery view.
There's a speaker view and a gallery view.
I do the gallery view. So, but I see her pan camera up.
Oh, I see it too, yeah. Hmm.
I don't know if she knows she's chat.
I sent her a chat that said, and it came back saying she's not in the meeting. Well, it's after 6 o'clock. She might.
There she is. There she is. She's come back.
Hi. Yeah, I don't know what happened to my computer, but I'm changing cameras right now. So hopefully this is the frontal. I have to just change. You know, technology's, you never know if the Wi-Fi is spotty or what. But, glad you're still there. Okay. So, oh yeah, my chicken's just out. It's perfect timing, actually. My chicken is done. I'm going to remove it from the microwave oven. And also, I hear that the water is boiling for the broccoli. So we're going to do those at the same time. I'm just going to spotlight. Okay, where is this one? Okay, hold on. Let's see. Stove. Yeah, my laptop just like sort of went weird, so I don't know what happened to that. So we'll show you what happens. So the broccoli is gonna be ready to go in. So I'm just gonna put it right in. Alexa, set a timer for 7 minutes.
7 minutes, starting now.
If you're using smaller pieces, which I don't generally like to do when I'm steaming, it's going to be faster. So those are the things that you would just want to play around with. Okay, I want to remove the spotlight video. Cancel. Okay, so chicken next. All right, heated chicken. I am going to put the caramelized onions. Now I'll show you what this will look like after. Let's see. So blue cheese would have been more ideal because it melts, it has a gooey melting characteristic, but I'm going to put this back in the microwave oven just so the cheese has a chance, even if it's feta, it can sort of slightly melt. Okay, I'll just show you what this looks like for now. But I have to heat the chicken first. Anyway, I will just nuke it a bit and we'll be back with that. Now we also talk about plating. So that's gonna look like a brown mess. And I have chives from the garden. So actually, I have chives and I have I'm also checking if my laptop is going to go back on. I have chives from the garden, and I have why these guys are
It's choppy.
perfect.
You're frozen again.
Did I just disappear again?
There you go. Now you're back.
There we go. But meanwhile, sorry, this is the, okay. How is it? Does it sound fine again?
That's fine. Yep.
Okay, good. Yeah, when you work with several cameras, you have to make sure the volume is muted in others, or else it has this interference. Okay, let's get that chicken out. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to dress this up with a little bit of chives and the flowers. Why not? Now you need, green is always nice to have. As I said, you could use the pesto and it's an easy cheat, but we want to just try different things. So we're doing this. Now the other thing I mentioned is when you dry, when leftovers are dry in the fridge, if you don't have a sauce, the other way to hydrate is add olive oil. I'm gonna drizzle because this fat is particularly good too. Now let me show you what this looks like. Oh, I see. Okay, the control is stove. So that's what it looks like now. So that's just the layer of caramelized onions, the feta with the chives. I'll put some flowers on the side just to make it a little bit cute. And yeah, so that's all she wrote for this. Okay, so that's one dish. Next, let's do the sad rice, beans. These guys can all just mix together, and we're gonna make this one. Okay, I have to talk about this because it's a little bit long in the tooth. Wait, where's my? Oh, I know. Give me a sec. I'm just gonna. I see what's wrong. Yeah, it's just so weird when tech happens like this. Oops. Where is my? I think I just regained control of my. Aha. Okay. All right. Let's see. Okay. Good. So this is long in the tooth. It was like a little bit like iffy. So what I'm gonna do is make this a mixed sort of rice mix. So I'm going to just slice this in little pieces, put them all in a big bowl, mix it with the beans, with the pesto, and that's all she wrote. So I'm gonna get a bowl. And maybe something like this. Put the beans in there. Let's put the rice in there. I'm gonna chop up the asparagus now. Oh, that's our broccoli. Excess stop. Uh-huh. Okay, I had it on low, but it should be fine. And then just leave it. I just turned off the heat, but I left it still covered, maybe just for a minute or so more, and then we'll release that soon. And here I'm just chopping in small pieces. So they're bite-sized. They basically will just be lost in the rice. Okay, then just put this all together. Let's add the pesto. So this is going to take the flavor of the pesto. So anytime that you have things that are kind of long in the tooth and you want to disguise the flavor, this is very strong. And pretty much, oh, you can even add, well, this has nuts actually, this has peanuts. But if you wanted to add, like for even more of a crunch, you know, you can add any kind of nuts, peanuts, because you already have it here. So pretty much that's kind of ready to go. That can be a base. You have a protein and boom. So that's done. Let's see, what else did we say we're making? Broccoli with sage butter. Okay, let's get the broccoli out. Let's see, let's go back to cancel. Okay, this is interesting. I'm trying to think. Yes. Okay, I'm trying to get my front camera. Now it kind of froze, but let's see what happened. I'm trying to move my camera and I'm not seeing it, so. Okay, maybe it's here. Sorry guys, just like seeing what's happening here. Yeah, I'm losing my, okay, so the camera, guys, what do you see? What's the view you're seeing? Is it this, where my hand is?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna just use this camera. So I will get the broccoli. Yeah, my other camera sort of froze, which is kind of weird. So let me show you. Oh, this is good because I can actually do this. So look at how bright, I don't know if the color comes through, but it's really bright green. And that's one of the nice things about steaming, also blanching, is that you retain the color. And while it's hot, so there are options here, which we've done in many ways. And wait, let me just fix this one. Actually, I'm just gonna put this first here. Let me fix that. All right, while it's hot, there are things you can do. You can, if you wanted to put cheddar, it'll melt, which is perfect. But we're keeping it simple. We're just doing the sage brown butter. I'm just gonna slice it a little bit, so then it gives the butter a chance to just like go through. And get a spoon. Now we haven't seasoned this. So we still have to salt it. You can imagine how yummy that is. Okay. And then let's just salt and pepper, easy. Salt. Mix it up. Oh, that's big. Let's make that small. You can sort of see if it's been slathered enough or not. You can do this also on the plate, but we have a bowl. Why not just use it here? If you wanted to add cayenne or other spices, you're welcome to do it, but the sage butter alone is actually quite nice. So now I'm not adding nuts to this because it's pretty crunchy by itself. Okay, so done. And one more. Let's see. We have roasted veggies. Okay, let's do, actually that will go well with, let's do this. So the roasted vegetables, let's just do an assortment of roasted veggies. There we go. I'm just gonna here. So you have choices. We can do the pesto is the easiest, and that's pretty much all she wrote if you did the pesto. But I think I'm just gonna do the sage brown butter on this as well. And this time I'm gonna add chopped pecans. This is like, I pre-toast these guys. So what happens is, because we use a lot of nuts in the house, I keep a lot of raw on hand, and I toast every few days because we usually go through it. I toast it, put them in glass jars. As long as it's not in a warm or sunny location, it should be okay. So I'll just finish this up. Why not? Now, the reason why I'm using sage butter for this is because the sweet of the sweet potatoes are really, really nice, balanced with the sage butter sauce. And as I said earlier, one of my favorite combinations with this sauce is butternut squash because of that sweetness. Plus, they're both fall dishes, so it's really, really nice. So I am just using pecans for this, and what I am going to do is just roughly, I'm putting it near the camera, roughly chop, and to roughly chop is basically just putting it closer towards the camera. There, just like this. Yeah, this is my favorite actually of the nuts, and I have this for breakfast with fruits. I have it with my salads. I have it topped on all sorts of dishes like asparagus. Ooh, asparagus with caramelized onions and nuts are actually really nice. So I'm just gonna put this here. That's it. Ta-da-da-da. And that's kind of brownish. So I will probably add the rest of my chives because I already have the chives. Why not?
Anna, did the ghee brown?
Oh, good question. Yeah, Anna.
I was wondering when you guys are going to ask me. I just still have it on the stovetop because it's not brown.
Yeah, I honestly think it's because clarified butter does not have the fats, and the fats are what browns.
I had some pork fat left over from when I did pork tacos, so I threw a little bit of it in there to see if it would make a difference, and it doesn't seem to.
It's worth the experiment, right?
Yeah. So, so I figure at some point I'll take it off, but I figure I'll just let it keep going until it looks like, because the sage is looking not that much different at the moment. So it smells good.
Okay, okay. I mean, the sage, actually, this fried sage is pretty good. But as I said, I'm not familiar with ghee, which is clarified butter. But how it imparts the flavor would be interesting. So here's this dish which you can brighten this up. You know, I still have the lime from earlier. I have half a lime unused, and lime, lemon, white wine, vinegar. Those are all citric flavors, which is used to brighten up dishes, especially when it's heavy. Now you could opt to use the juice, or because this is an organic lime, actually I changed my mind. This is all I'm winging it. We are gonna zest it, and zesting. If you have a zester like this, you know, my way of doing it is because I want to see what I'm actually zesting. I just do this so I can actually see exactly. I mean, you could use the juice, but why not use this? Plus it's green, and a little bit of green goes a long way. Or you can use both. There's no reason why not. Maybe I'll use both. So there we go. That is that. So did we do all four? 1, 2, 3, 4. Wow, we actually had 4 dishes. How cool is that? So let's see. Do you guys want to plate it? I mean, these are all in bowls, but if you want to see how this looks on a plate, wow. It's actually, I'll plate one just because it looks really nice. And so you can see. Huh. Let's see. Now, this is not meant to be eaten together because the flavors are going to clash. These are meant for different kinds of meals, you know, different meals altogether. But you just want to see what it could potentially look like. I'm using a white plate. I like plating with white plates because you have all sorts of, it's like a blank canvas. So you have options here. Again, I would not recommend mixing all the flavors together, but just for presentation and stuff so you can see what it could look like. All right, check out. Well, let's see the colors. How do the colors look on your end? It looks really nice from here because I have the purple or violet from the violets, and then all sorts of orange, brown, green happening, which is kind of nice to have color. And
Looks delicious.
yeah, don't you wish you're like eating this right now? Hey, and that's pretty much it. Look, it's 1.5 hours, and we made 4 dishes and did a lot of stuff actually. This is I wasn't sure, you know, this is all unplanned. I'm basically working this particular class, the Let's Cook. I'm working with available ingredients, so I don't know what I'm going to do until Friday, the Friday before the Tuesday class. And that's when we post the menus. So and basically it's a nice challenge to work with what we have. Now I so happen to make a major grocery run, so I do have a lot of ingredients here, but still, you know, we need to learn how to work with leftovers, and so it's kind of fun. So show me your dishes, guys. I want to see. Those who cook, let's see. I don't know why I can't see you. Oh, there you go.
We got some butternut squash with some sage butter sauce and asparagus with toasted nuts and pesto. And then our chicken is still cooking.
So tell me how flavorful is that, Sana?
We haven't tried it yet. It looks pretty good though.
Take a bite, take a bite.
I've lost video.
Yeah, we lost you.
Good.
Eve, I
Love the
said,
flavors.
Anna, you approve, right?
Yeah.
Anna, where are you, by the way? Where are you guys?
I'm here.
No, I didn't.
There we go.
Are you in the U.S.?
Oh,
That's my carrots and
Oh, that's Eve.
carrots and sweet potato and nuts.
nice.
That looks good. You're using are those pecans?
Pecans.
Did you toast it first, the pecans?
They were already toasted.
Oh, there you go. See? So do you like it? Is it good?
Yeah, it tastes good. That's all I have to show.
Yeah, and it looks good because it's I love the colors, orange and brown. So beautiful. Who else? Who else? Oh, Anna, I want to see what you did.
So I joined late, so I made the kale pesto with roasted pecans. I had roasted the pecans in advance, and there's
Yeah.
in here I'm using quinoa, the asparagus, and I really like how the pesto came out.
Are those beets? What's the red thing I'm seeing?
That's beets.
It is beets. Oh, see? Perfect, because you have the sweet, the salty, you have all sorts of flavors going on there. That's really cool.
Yeah.
You make quinoa.
Yeah, and I love quinoa. Quinoa is super healthy too.
How do you make it?
Think of it like pasta actually. So it's usually 2 cups to 1, and then but if you have more than
This is getting a little bit more.
more liquid than you need,
Yeah,
that's fine because you can always change. But basically, after cooking it for about
Watch the
15
carbs.
minutes, you can just leave the lid on and then fluff it. So
That should be good.
So it's
yeah.
The other thing I'll say about quinoa is
More sauce.
You can prepare
what,
this.
Anna?
the nuttiest flavor.
What did you say, Anna, about quinoa? I didn't hear it.
Yep, sorry. So I cook quinoa quite a bit, and the red quinoa has the best flavor. We found it's a little more nutty, but it's been harder to find right now.
Yeah.
So I just have typical, I guess.
I have it in my cupboard, but I've never made it.
Oh, it's awesome. So like the other secret that I do is I use like a vegetable broth or a chicken broth or any kind of broth instead of water. And that will usually give it more flavor. The other thing you want to do is make sure you rinse it before you use it as well, similar to how you cook, like a rice.
So it's 1 cup of quinoa to 2 cups of water. Okay.
Whatever kind of liquid, but you want to rinse it ahead of time. What I've gotten in the habit of doing is just making like a batch of it so that I have it on hand to do stuff like that. So, like,
That's a great basic. So I was in Peru many years ago, and quinoa is from Peru. It's from the Incas, and it's actually one of the, it's the only grain that has the complete protein profile. It has a protein which we can't even get, our bodies can't manufacture. So it's like one of those amazing superfoods. And the typical Peruvian salad is just quinoa with mint, tomatoes, and olive oil and lime, and it's really nice. And we use that as a what
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can add it.
what Anna was saying. It's the base. Then you can turn it into that. If you add feta, you make it Greek suddenly. It's like
Wow.
there's so many ways to play with that.
We can save.
John, hi there. I see.
So, sauce. They put the chicken in this meal. Because,
Santa,
It'd be so much better than just plain.
yeah.
hey, Santa, where are you from again?
Me?
Yeah, are you in the U.S.?
We live in Alston. Johnson
Marlene.
made the noodles. Remember
Oh,
Johnson?
yeah, there you go. I did not see you. Oh,
All right, I just pop in and out. I was a sous chef today, so.
Oh, very cool. Well, so nice to meet Santa.
We're friends with Anna, so she told us about this.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Thanks, Coop.
Marlene, where are you from?
I'm originally from the Philippines, but I'm in Dedham now. Dedham, Massachusetts.
Oh, Massachusetts.
Yeah, John, where are you?
New Jersey.
Oh, no, you're like us, hot spot, even worse than us.
Big time. My county is a big hot spot too.
I know. Wait, did you say did you work in a medical field today?
Oh,
You don't, Joan, you're not.
I'm a party planner with this wait staff business, and I'm unemployed right now.
Yeah, well, you and 12 million others, right? So
Yeah, but I was going to say about my sweet potatoes. I make them in my air fryer, and they are. I swear by my mini air fryer.
I remember you saying that because you were in last week's class, and I reviewed the videos, and you were talking about how you put that in your salad, right?
Yeah, I just toss it in olive oil. I cube it on a cutting board, toss it in olive oil and cracks. I have a rosemary grinder, which I don't know anyone else who owns one.
I've never even heard of a rosemary grinder.
It's my favorite. So I grind rosemary on it and with any other herb, throw it in the air fryer, go upstairs and brush my teeth, come down and it's done. And it tastes nutty. It has a nutty taste. It's the best.
Okay, which one has the nutty taste? The sweet potatoes or the
sweet potato?
Yeah.
When you put it in a convection basket, which is also an air fryer, I call it a convection basket, but it's called an air fryer. It doesn't fly.
Yeah. Well, cool. I've never worked with an air fryer before, but you know, I mean, I've heard good things about it, so that's nice to hear personally an endorsement of it. I like to play with gadgets and gizmos, so
That's a worthwhile one to take up real estate on your counter because it's very small. And if you just bought it for potatoes alone, just to slice a potato, go upstairs, brush your teeth, come down, you have potato chips.
Oh, I have a little trivia, whatever, nugget of, it's so cool because I read it from this book, Joe Robinson, which was Eating on the Wild Side. So I try to watch my carbs because it's in my family, the blood sugar, diabetes, etc. And so I'm always trying to do low carbs, which is actually why I decided to do the Jerusalem artichokes because they're amazing. The starch there is inulin, as I said, it's a prebiotic, so it's really healthy. But the thing I learned about potatoes, which is so cool, because potatoes are one of the things that I usually avoid because it's high in the glycemic index. Apparently, when you chill it, the chemical reaction of chilling the next day, it lowers it. It makes the starch harder to access, and so that means it lowers the glycemic index.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that cool? So that's a good book. So guys, did I see everyone's meals already? Did I miss anyone? We got everyone, right? Because I want to say thank you for joining us, and I hope you join us again. It's really interesting because I was expecting 25 people signed up for this class. So I'm like, oh no, but obviously not everyone's on board. So I have yet to test like how many people we can actually handle. So I am so glad to see you.
Marlene?
Thank you.
Yes.
Will it be, when will be the next one? In 2 weeks? Is it every 2 weeks or how often?
No, it's every Tuesday actually. So
every Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah, every Tuesday at 5 o'clock. And
Excellent.
then every Friday, the Friday before the Tuesday, I release the menu, the ingredients, the equipment needed on Facebook page at Refined Cook. If you follow us, you'll see it.
Yeah, I followed you today, so I'm following you now.
Excellent. So you're going to see that. But then if you also sign up, because you have to register with the classes through Eventbrite,
Right.
you'll also get an automated email.
Yes.
When we release it. So you should get it both ways.
Okay.
FYI,
Excellent.
also we might be changing it used to be that the password and the link of Zoom was the same for all the classes every Tuesday, but I might be changing it for every class. But if that's the case, whoever signs up will get notice of that, so you will know. So
That's actually a good practice.
Yeah, I think so, because what happens is I can't control the numbers. Like if there's supposed to be 25 and then other people are coming in, then it might be so large that it's hard to control. So I think it might be better that way. You know, technology is new for everyone, so we're learning as we go.
So where's the best place to keep track of your numbers?
Well, because if you have to register through Eventbrite, I definitely see, it caps it, because only the people who register through Eventbrite will be getting the links, except that the links have been the same every Tuesday. So that's why I think I have to change it. So
you'll be sending us individual, you have our emails, or we need to go on Eventbrite?
If you are interested in the class, like sign up in the Eventbrite and you'll just get automated emails on menus and stuff. If you want to check out what the menu is before joining the class, Facebook, just go to Facebook or Instagram at Refined Cook, and we post it every Fridays. But if you're signed up for Eventbrite for the class, you get it. You get it automatically.
I was signed up last week. I just don't know if we get notified all the time.
Yeah, you will. You will.
Okay.
Yeah, because once you're in the system of Eventbrite, there's a system of automated emails. So boom, it's really easy rather than individually emailing people. So guys, thank you. If you are able to, because we're trying to raise funds for Feeding America, I think you all know that it's kind of crazy for a lot of people who are hungry because they're not able to access unemployment in different states. You know, it's kind of nuts how it's rolling out. It's so bureaucratic and disorganized. So a lot of people are really hungry, and Feeding America has the broadest range of food pantries and food banks. So they're all over. So if you can, I'll send you the link. If you don't have it, it was in the original email, but that would be great. Optional, of course. Okay, so wherever you are, be well, take care.
Thanks so much, Marlene. Have a great
Thanks, nice
evening and
to
day.
meet you guys.
We'll see you next week.
Okay, bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you too.
Boo-dee-dee-ah, ba-ba-ba-ba-dee-oh, ba-ba-ba-dee-oh-doo. Bay.